Dell's XPS line of premium laptops for consumers is already one of our favorites, so it's difficult to imagine what else they could do to try and improve it. That's not going to stop Dell from trying, though, and at CES 2018 they unveiled a slew of new upgrades to the XPS line, starting with the Dell XPS 15 2-in-1. Now, this is the first time the Dell XPS 15 has such a form factor as a convertible. You can prop it up in tent mode and stuff like that. But what really is unique about the XPS 15 2-in-1 is the fact that it's the first laptop to use Intel's new Core H processor with Radeon graphics. Intel announced this chipset last year and is a system that combines the CPU, the GPU, and the RAM onto the same module to provide discrete level graphics performance while minimizing the space needed inside your computer. So Dell is telling us that this chipset actually got close to NVIDIA's 1050 series graphics performance on the XPS 15 2-in-1. We'll obviously have to test it out ourselves to see if that holds up in real life, but it is intriguing to see Dell being the first to market with this. Now, there's a space-saving measure on the laptop, which is overall 16 millimeters thin, which is pretty skinny, but Dell also tried to save even more space by using a new type of keyboard. It's calling the Maglev Keyboard. Now, basically, it's using magnets here to kind of mimic a sort of clicky response. In trying to use it, I found it similar to my MacBook, which has the metal dome architecture, and it has a little bit more travel than my MacBook does, but it's basically much less than I'm used to on previous XPS systems. You might get used to this. I didn't find it a huge deal breaker. It was comfortable typing with it, and it's interesting that you're able to get more space out of it for things like battery, or in the XPS 15 2-in-1's case, a Gore branded insulation thing in the system, which helps to prevent heat from kind of spilling out into other parts of the computer. Like the rest of the XPS line of laptops, the XPS 15 2-in-1 has the Infinity Edge display that makes the screen look like it's floating in midair because it has such narrow bezels. Dell still has been able to narrow it down even further this time around for the XPS 15 2-in-1. It also supports new display technology. For example, this screen goes up to 4K like it did before. It displays up to 100% of the sRGB color gamut now, but it now has this new feature called Dell Cinema, which is a combination of 3 technologies. Starting from Cinema Color, which basically is a collaboration between Microsoft and Dell to have a new format called Windows HD Color, which basically allows playback of HDR video with brighter colors, deeper blacks, and better contrast levels. In addition to that, the XPS 15 2-in-1, being a convertible, also comes with pen support. This is Dell's Active Pen, which supports up to 2,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, and it can also detect the way you're tilting the pen now, as with the rest of the styluses that have already been in market for the past year. The Dell XPS 15 2-in-1 will start at $1,299.99, basically $1,300 when it's available later this year around Q1. And the base configuration will come with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of SSD storage. Again, with the base model of the Intel Core H with Radeon graphics, which is a quad-core chip. Dell also revamped the entire XPS 13 line. Now you have 2 colors. One is black with a silver finish at the top, and one's white on the inside and gold on the outside. Now, white's a difficult color to kind of maintain over the years, so what Dell has done is to add a stain-resistant coating to the XPS 13 on top of a glass weave that is so effective that you'll see in this demo, even a Sharpie, if you draw on the deck, will be easy to clean off by just rubbing it. This will make it easy to remove stains from things like makeup or coffee, but Dell does admit that it's going to be hard to defend against things like mustard or sunscreen. Now, these are the 2 that will most likely stain your new XPS 13. I personally am not a fan of the new white color. I think it makes the system look a little bit cheap, but hey, you have to see it in person to decide for yourself if it's for you. I do like, though, that Dell is actually taking care to prevent stains, so that's something nice to see. The webcam here has also been upgraded to support Windows Hello, so you'll see it's like a little different looking than the one before. However, it's still in a really weird bottom placement. It's not in the bottom left as the older XPS 13 was, but it is in the bottom middle now. So hey, you're not looking at your nose from the side anymore, you're looking up at your nose from the center. The XPS 13 also has a similar display to the XPS 15 2-in-1. It now supports up to 4K configurations where it only went up to 2K before, and it also will support Dell Cinema for a better viewing experience. It also has a similar Gore thermal insulation built in, and it will run with a quad-core Intel 8th generation Core i processor. It's available starting today with a price of $999.99, which is basically $1,000. Again, we haven't put any of these through any of our own tests yet, so it'll be a while before we can figure out whether these laptops will live up to the Dell XPS reputation that the company has established over the years now. So until then, stay tuned to Engadget for all the news.